am not in my usual filming space. I actually left the city, and currently there is a coronavirus outbreak. A huge amount of people in the area where I live are under quarantine, and I just decided to get out. In case you guys don't know, I have aplastic anemia, which is a bone marrow failure disorder. I'm also on immunosuppressants. I have a low immune system, so I'm really in that high risk group of people. So I just wanted to get out of New York. So you guys probably all know this, but if somebody is new to my channel, perhaps you don't know, you will catch on rather quickly because I do advertise this in every video that I do, and some of you actually think it's annoying, but I have a Patreon. I still get messages here and there from people like, oh, what is your Patreon? What do you do on there? And a lot of people have a lot of questions pertaining to what my Patreon is all about. So today's video, the purpose is to tell you guys what it's all about, what I do on there, how much money I make, how it's been able to change my life, and maybe this video can also serve as a device and a guide for people who are also looking to join Patreon or sell more risque and sexy content. And what does that exactly mean? I know that's a very general umbrella statement, so we'll go into that today in this Q&A. But I asked you guys on my Instagram to go ahead and ask me questions, and I'm just gonna go through these questions and see what people say. I know back in the day I was like, oh, it's liberating, I've always wanted to do it, I've always wanted to sell half-naked pictures of myself on the internet. And while that was true, I've always been that way. Nudity is never something in my family and in my life that was frowned upon. I have a great respect for the female form, and my mother is an artist, and I think it's kind of her fault because from a very young age, our entire house was just adorned with half-naked women's painting. Nudity was never ever shocking to me. So, I think for a lot of people, when I show a lot of skin, they're like, oh, but for me, I'm just like, what? It's not a big deal. About 3 years ago, 2017, I had just gotten out of a relationship, and I was making a decent living on YouTube. I wasn't making a ton. I'm gonna be completely transparent with you guys. At that time, I was making around $6,000 to $7,000 a month on YouTube, and it was good. I was making a living. I had my own apartment in New York City. It was rent controlled. Okay, I wasn't living in some penthouse suite or anything, but I was living in a 400 square foot dump on the Upper East Side, and I did really well for myself, and I was super proud. And the way that I was able to sustain that income was just literally taking any kind of sponsorship deal I could get, because YouTube AdSense was good, but that was maybe 60% of that income. I had to fill in the gaps by doing sponsorships. So when companies would reach out to me, they would offer me $500, $1,000 to feature their product in a video, and so I would take on maybe 4 or 5 of these. And it came to the point where I was doing a lot, and every other video that I was putting out at the time was a sponsored video. And I also found myself doing videos about products and things that I wasn't really 100% great with. I think my ultimate moment where I was like, okay, I don't really like this, is when I did a video on fit tea. At that point I was like, do I really just want to be taking whatever sponsorship I can get and basically sucking on the tea of these companies who are just using me as a way to make money? And of course it wasn't just the diet products, it was just everything else really. It just kind of felt exhausting, and I no longer wanted to work through other businesses. I just wanted my income to be from me, only me. So at that time I was watching a lot of different YouTubers, and one person that stands out to me more than anybody, she's the pioneer in my head, is Tara Babcock. And I saw that she had a Patreon, and I saw what she was doing on there, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I've always had this massive crush on Tara Babcock. I think she's fucking badass, gorgeous, intelligent. I love everything about this girl. So I saw her Patreon and I was like, I love what she's doing. I think this is brilliant. She's marketing herself, and she's so confident in who she is, and she's so well spoken. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to do this Patreon thing, and I'm not gonna model myself completely after what she does, because me and her are two very different types of content creators. She's more of a gamer chick, and just her whole entire aesthetic is very different from mine. But I think she was kind of the one that set the gears in motion in my head. So I began a Patreon, and I remember the first month I made like $300 and I kind of abandoned it for a little while. I wasn't sure, I was still figuring out how to use it, but then 2-3 months later I came back and I did my first ever nude photo shoot, and then that's kind of where it all spiraled. This is also during the time in YouTube when a lot of like mainstream YouTube females were, you know, saying like, oh yeah, nudes at 500,000, sex tape at 1 million subscribers, that type of stuff. And like I saw the opportunity there and I was like, okay, well, about 70 to 80% of my viewers are male. Naturally, this is just how things came about. This is actually a pattern in my life. Like I've always just attracted more men than women. Women tend to not like me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm annoying, probably. Honestly, wouldn't doubt it. So basically, all in all, I saw that a lot of YouTubers were also doing this and were following this trend. I saw that, hey, I have this predominantly male audience. Hey, I don't want to be doing sponsorships, selling shit that I'm not really believing in. Here's an opportunity to make more money. So I made a Patreon, and within 3-4 months it became really successful. Like successful beyond my imagination. And when I say that, I'm saying like within my first 6 months of making a Patreon, I was pulling in an additional $8,000 a month. And it's only really just been up from there. When you're working as a YouTuber, as a social media influencer, which I hate saying that term, we don't have retirement, we don't get benefits, we don't have health insurance, and I still have to pay taxes. So those are things that you, as a self-employed person, somebody who does Patreon, you need to take all of those things into account. So now that I was making more money, it allowed me to save money, it allowed me to reinvest in my content on my YouTube channel, it helped me to pay off loans that I had, it helped me to purchase a new vehicle. Like it helped so many aspects of my life, and it was on my own terms, and I never felt like my boundaries were being pushed, and I never felt unhappy or weird about what I was doing. My only concern always going forward was how weird it would make other people in my life feel. For example, you know, as far as dating goes, some people aren't okay with it, and I have met and gone out on dates with people and I'm really forthcoming about what I do. Some people are just not okay with that. I think it's fairly easy to be able to tell who are the creepy people and who are the people who are, you know, longtime viewers or who just simply have watched your channel and really like who you are and want to see more of you. I think that if somebody is overstepping boundaries, the best thing to do is to just keep it very simple. Just like, thank you very much for being a patron, and you don't really go beyond that, and you just keep it very short and sweet. But you know, a lot of people have sent me messages which are really heartfelt, and they say like, hey, I'm also suffering from an autoimmune disease, or hey, I'm really lonely, or I've been going through a lot of stuff and your content really makes my day. I think a lot of people will go onto my Patreon and they'll be like, oh my god, how do you deal with all the creeps? But like, I've honestly talked to some really amazing, cool, respectful, kind people on there. I think I'm pretty lucky because my content isn't like X-rated. I don't think I get sick of the compliments, but I think after a while, when you hear a compliment so many times, it like loses its effect. So, you know, sometimes I'll be really down on myself or like really self-conscious, and people will be like, well, how can you feel that way? You have so many people telling you you're beautiful online. I'm like, yeah, but after so many times of telling you that, it loses that, you know? It's like if somebody says I love you every 5 minutes, I love you loses its meaning. It is not. I have done some topless photo shoots. I've done some suggestive stuff, but I've never done like full frontal spread eagle. I'm just gonna be straight up honest with you guys. I don't think that it's wrong to do it. I know a lot of girls on there that do. It's just not for me. I just like that I don't really have to filter myself. I can just say whatever I want to. And ever since I started doing it, I have definitely become more confident in myself and more comfortable with my body. You begin to kind of like love things about yourself. Like I used to always be really self-conscious about my stomach, and I used to always be self-conscious about my butt. But after just taking literally hundreds of photos of everything, I'm happy with myself. I think that my imperfections make me really beautiful. You know, also, like, I don't have perfect boobs. Like, you know, they're a decent size, but like one is a little bit bigger than the other, and they have like some stretch marks on them, and like, you know, I'm just a real human person. And the fact that like I can even make like a supplemental income doing what I do, it's pretty awesome, because it goes to show that you don't have to be a toothpick, you don't have to be a size 2, super tall, fake boobs. Not to detract away from that, because like that's hot too, but you know, there's all different types of beautiful. Patreon is a little bit like a fan page. You can pretty much do anything on there. I know that there's people who do podcasts on there, cosplay. There is the option to have several different tiers, and every single tier is priced differently and offers specific rewards for your fans. So for me, I have a $1 tier, which includes extra videos and extra sexy photos of myself every single week. There's also a $50 tier, which throws in the sexy video. It's a little bit more risque. I show more. And then of course there's the $100 tier, which people can request a custom video, so they can pick like what I'm wearing, what I'm doing, what I'm saying. So that's pretty much how it works for me. And also recently I have jumped ship over to OnlyFans. You know, I've been doing Patreon for like 3 years, and I've really liked it. And I started to notice recently that a lot of people who were on Patreon were now going over to OnlyFans. And I know OnlyFans is like kind of more geared towards adult entertainment, which I wasn't too sure about, because I don't want my entire Patreon to be about that. My Patreon is about a lot of things, but I just decided to make an OnlyFans account and test it out. I don't want to ever feel like pressured into doing something I don't feel comfortable doing just because other people are doing it. So right now I am testing out OnlyFans, and I have posted some really awesome stuff on there. So I have my Patreon, I have my OnlyFans. I will link both of those down below if you guys want to go check them out. People apparently love videos of me trying on lingerie. I think that's where it all started, to be honest, because like 3 or 4 years ago, I put out a video, sexy lingerie haul, and I think it has like over 1 million views at this point. And that's really just, I think that was like the catapult, I think, where I realized like people would pay for this. It's really not that bad. I get people like sliding into my DMs, and I get people saying inappropriate things to me all over social media, but like it doesn't faze me. So I always am cautious about encouraging other men or women to do this, because it's something that you have to be 100% sure about. Because if you're not, and you do it, and you put out content like this on the internet, and people will leak it, like my things have been leaked, you have to be okay with that. And it is going to kind of trickle into your personal life, because if you date somebody, if you don't tell them, they're bound to find out pretty much. So, you know, a lot of people are not okay with this. It does complicate your life to a degree if you show your face. I know there's some people that don't show their face, but you know, I obviously show my face. It's also easier for me to gain followers and make a living on Patreon because I have a following here on YouTube. So I was able to advertise it here, and then of course a chunk of my following migrated over to there, and it kind of like helped fuel that. If you are starting from no social media following, it's a matter of how are you going to build a following on Patreon or OnlyFans or whatever other website that you're on. For me, it was actually pretty easy to start making an income pretty much right away. For other people, it might take a while. And like I said, it has to be something you are 100% sure about and that you feel comfortable with. I also know a girl who tried to do it, and she had suffered with problems with an eating disorder and with body dysmorphia. And when she started doing Patreon, it actually triggered these problems again for her. So I don't recommend it if you are suffering with body image issues. And it's not super easy. You do have to be consistent. You can't just be the type of person that posts on there once every week or once every month and then just expect the money to keep rolling in. This is like a little plant that you have to tend to every day, every other day, in order to keep people interested and keep people engaged in your content. You do have to deal with some bullshit. Like, there are people that sign up maliciously to leak my content or to harass me. So, you know, there are a lot of not good things about it, but for me, it's been amazing. This is something I can do on my own terms, that I do enjoy doing, that other people enjoy, and it's not pushing my boundaries. I've always done well for myself financially, but adding Patreon into my income flow has allowed me to now be able to save money for eventually retiring. It has helped with paying bills. I have nice things. I have a nice car. I'm able to help friends when they are in need. I'm able to help family members. That feels amazing because I wasn't always in this position when I was younger. I also know that this isn't forever, so that is why I'm doing it now while I still can, while I'm young, saving up money, and then some of that money I do invest into other things. So I do have investments, I do have plans for the future. I'm not being a dumbass about it. That is my last piece of information. Don't just take the money and spend it on Louis Vuittons and nice cars and trips and this and that. I mean, you can use some of it for that, and I do, but also be smart with the money, because it comes really easily, but it also goes really easily too. So make sure you have a plan B. Make sure you're always saving for the future. So if you are somebody who's actually considering signing up for Patreon or doing an OnlyFans and needs some advice or help, feel free to privately message me. Just do so over on my Instagram, and I will also link all of my social media stuff down below. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope that you guys found it informative and interesting. Make sure to click the thumbs up if you thought so, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more videos, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!